I'm gonna give it a try, okay, guys? I'm gonna explain what quantum computing is. Given that I'm the one predominantly responsible for making the quantum computer. This is what a quantum computer is. Which, is still kind of, we could still probably make it a better method than that. But computers today, the way they work is that we go based on our procedural method, a logistical method, on and off. And just like how you flip a switch to turn on a light or turn it off, that's the method for computing today. But quantum computing doesn't use procedural method. It doesn't follow any procedures to do things. It tries to find the most effective and efficient means to do a thing. That's what quantum computing does. And that's the difference. That's really the difference. Efficiency versus procedure. And I want to talk about it a bit more, because this is the issue with our police and our governing. Just about all our issues in America is the same kind of thing. The same difference between quantum computing and our regular way of computing things today is very procedurally determined as to remove as much of error from the process, because that way we know exactly what we're going to get, but that requires a lot of effort to make all the procedures and fine tune it to specifically do the thing. Everything is a straight line. You can't go in curves here. And even if you go in a curve, it has to be a straight curve. It's a strictly curve. There's no nuance in the way we do things today. Because when you add in any level of nuance, then there's space for error that can't be accounted for. So out of the need for that which is like a military way of of ensuring things function when we are not watching in a way that those held responsible have a proper means to determine why. This is the method that we've adopted. So then no one can refute or be held responsible for things that have nothing to actually do with them. Yet everyone can properly be held responsible under the measure of our procedures. But leaves little room for the reality that we exist in, which is where quantum computing comes in. And instead of following procedures, quantum computers are more like AI. It just doesn't do stupid shit. You see, instead of saying like thinking, instead of thinking, oh, you got to do this, then you do that. It just sees it and says, oh, you just don't do that, and then you can do that. It is about this. That's quantum computing. It doesn't exist in a single state. It's malleable to whatever is necessary for the means of whatever processes need to take place, and in the most effective manner, most efficient manner, the most necessary manner for whatever it is that we're trying to do. In some cases, it's not as good because it's not so fine-tuned. It's not so fine-tuned to specifics. You know, it's almost like the difference between an Apple computer and a Microsoft Windows-based operating system. One is more binarily focused, and the other is more simplified in its manner. But you know, there's a shortfall in this simplified means of doing things, as you all have seen, because all the AIs and all the prompt-driven artwork that AI produces, you can see that you can't really fine-tune it. You know, you say you want this thing, but you never know what you get. It's like, okay, well, I'll give you that, but you don't really. It doesn't know quite how to fine-tune what it gives you. So you kind of have to do that. You see? So I'd say where our regular base form of computing has advanced from, quantum computing, I wouldn't say it's a new form of computing entirely. I think it's more of an effect on the computing that we've already established, and so because of that, it has its limits, just as well as the way we understand computing today has its limits, because the way we are currently thinking about the way we use this kind of technology, that's what's limited. It's always been the limiting factor. The way we think about the usage of technology, Um, Again, that procedural methodology that we require dictate how things function for us to make it uh, sensible, make it function in the way that we want it to. I mean, even when you use OpenAI, it's using quantum computers. It will write out every every syllable and every word as if someone's typing it. And that's something we made it do. It doesn't actually do that. But we make it do that because it's something that we can adjust to as it's happening. It's not something that and we make it do it. You see? Because that process is necessary. The procedure is necessary for how it must come to comprehend what it itself wants to convey to us. And if it did it in some other method, it might be too nuanced or simplified in its means of interpreting things, like maybe some other AIs who seem not to recognize simple things have been doing, seeking to use the most out of the quantum computing abilities it has. But we're rapidly advancing, and I think we're recognizing that there's certain spaces for things in its functionality that require certain elements that are undeniable. Procedures are such an element. The binarily aspect of things are an element as well that we can't really escape from, no matter how advanced and capable we become with quantum computing. That gives us access to all this nuanced way of doing all this kind of stuff. Very interesting, isn't it? How that happens. While we have more access to doing things through different methods, we still rely on other methods which limits our access to doing things, to do them in the most effective ways. Isn't that interesting? I think we ought to reevaluate and have a bit more respect for what is the real issue in the things that we do, instead of trying to seek a more effective way of doing something when it isn't the thing that's the issue, but the reasoning behind why we do certain things that are causing our issues.